Today, you guys, we are starting up our unit on reading nonfiction. So today our focus is going to be to prepare or ready our minds to read nonfiction. And remember, nonfiction is all about the facts, because anything other than that is just fiction or made up. I'd like you to think of a time in your life when you were an amazing fiction reader. Remember, we're talking about fiction at this little point and time in our lesson. Those stories like Andrew Clement's Frindle, that's a fiction story. Stories that are made up. But just to prepare ourselves for nonfiction, when was a time that you were just a great fiction reader? What were you doing? What were you doing? Were you sitting down? Were you lying down somewhere? Think about the story that you were reading. What was it that you were reading? Was it by a particular author? And when you were reading that book, what were you really feeling? I want you to take a minute. I want you to get a picture in your mind of that time that you were a great fiction reader, and think about those questions and what made you that great fiction reader. So now I want you to think of a time when you were an amazing nonfiction reader. What were you reading at that time? Was it a book on like tornadoes or dinosaurs? Was it instructions on your favorite video game on how you can achieve and get to that next level or even conquer the game? Or were you learning about another country? And now I want you to think about this key question related to your nonfiction reading. And what were you doing with what you were reading? What was the purpose behind it? Why did you decide to choose that? Why was it interesting to you? I understand that some people are going to love this unit because there are some people who are naturally drawn to nonfiction, and it's very easy for them. And there are others that kind of struggle with it a little bit. I understand it. As a person who loves to read nonfiction, I understand people's frustration, but I don't think they really prepare themselves enough to be ready to read nonfiction to enjoy it. And that's why it brings us to today's teaching point, the focus of today. And that is, all great nonfiction readers, they read with power. That means they read with excitement. One way to do this is you have to rev up your mind before you read. It's like, before a big game when we played rugby. We didn't just get dressed and go out there and stretch and play. We got excited. You got jacked up. I remember we would play our song, I'm heading back to Boston, and we'd be jumping up and down, throwing ourselves into each other, banging our heads off of lockers like a bunch of idiots. But we revved ourselves up. We psyched ourselves up before the game. Now, I don't expect you to be banging your heads off lockers before you read nonfiction, but there are things that you can do to prepare yourself, to get excited, to get motivated. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So ways that nonfiction readers read with power, how they read with excitement, these are some of the things that they do prior to reading. So when you open up your book, before you even start reading the first section, start going through your book and read the text features. Look at the subtitles or the titles, the photos, the captions, the charts, the sidebars, whatever it may be. And think to yourself, what will this text probably say? What's it really going to be about? You might be surprised by your answer. And then you want to really scrutinize, which means that you want to analyze the features that are in the book. Why are those text features there? Is there anything that stands out to you? What are those things going to say about your story? And then you want to ask yourself, how is this organized and what are the different parts? I know that there's been many times when I'm reading a nonfiction story and I'm looking through it and I might be reading about the destructiveness of a tornado. And then I would logically think in my head, well, if they're talking about the destructiveness of the tornado, I'm thinking, how do people go about rebuilding from a tornado? But then all of a sudden it takes me into another area of a tornado talking about the vortex. So it's not organized the way I would think it's organized. Why is it organized that way? What are those different parts and what are they saying about the whole story? And I think this one is really important. What do you already know about this topic? And we want to build expectations from that answer. If you're somebody that knows a lot about, say, a certain country, or you know a lot about dinosaurs, or you know a lot about tornadoes, and you're reading a book that's telling you the same information that you already know, do you really want to read that book? Maybe there's things about a tornado or dinosaurs that you didn't know about, that you want to know about. So when you're searching for a book and you're getting ready to read it, you see if those questions or those expectations are being met. And then as you're reading your story, there's something that you need to do along the way. You gotta stop every now and then. Because people who read with power, people who read with excitement, they pause from time to time and they think to themselves, is this matching my expectations of what I really need? Of what I really want? Do I need to change my expectations? These are the things that great nonfiction readers do. And this is what I want you guys to focus on today. I want you to take a screenshot of this page right now. Pause the video. Now that you've taken a screenshot, today when you begin to read, before you do any reading, you're going to stop and you're going to answer these questions here. And you're going to submit that to me so I can see what you've done. But then as you're reading, you're going to answer this question. I want you guys to learn what it means to be a great nonfiction reader. I want you to understand what great nonfiction readers do all the time. I want you to enjoy reading nonfiction. And this is one of the ways that you can do it. Good luck.